Hello, this is Tyson, the editor-in-chief of TVEnthusiast and host of the Weekly Set podcast. This podcast featured a new addition of our staff, but unfortunately due to technical difficulties, we lost her audio after about 20 minutes of recording. This is the Television Enthusiast podcast, The Weekly Set. Episode 5, recorded February 26, 2015. Welcome to the Television Enthusiast podcast, The Weekly Set. Today we're going to be talking about the spring 2015 TV schedule. What's coming up, what we're interested in, what's exciting. Joining me today are Kat.
Hi.
Will.
Hello.
And our new podcaster, Lee.
Hi.
Okay, so let's get started. Okay, for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to be going through shows that are starting or coming back between the dates of March 1st and May 31st. So, of course, there's going to be some shows that are going to add on later. You know, we don't have all of the dates yet, but this is just kind of our preview of what we know is coming up, and March 1st is almost around the corner. It's right here. It's on Sunday. So let's start on March 1st. On March 1st, Once Upon a Time comes back on ABC. Are any of you current on Once Upon a Time?
I am.
I'm not.
I'm not.
I haven't watched since first season.
Yeah, I've never watched. I think I checked out a little bit of the pilot, and that's about it. But Will, you're up to date. Are you excited about the new season? Or about the continuation?
Yeah, well, I like the fact that they're finally making Maleficent, giving Maleficent a major role in the series, since, that's been long overdue. I think she's such a significant Disney villain, and for her to only have, a small part in, the first season, I thought, okay, that's weird. Let's, they made a whole movie about her. I mean, come on. She's one of the most iconic Disney villains.
When I was doing some research for this, I saw they were mentioning that Ursula's going to be in this season too, or has she been in it before?
Nope. This is the first time she's going to be in the series.
Does the show have Ariel as well?
Yep. The show had Ariel
wow.
in the third
season.
So
basically there are no Disney characters left that haven't appeared on the show. Major Disney characters.
I guess.
Well, it's going to be like we talked about before in one of our roundtable discussions. It's going to end up being like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to tie in, and then you're going to see Star Wars characters because Disney owns it all.
Basically from the preview I saw, which you didn't post in your article, but they had a teaser up, which was basically it's Maleficent, Ursula, and Cruella de Vil, and apparently they're going to try and turn Emma, the main character, evil. That was the crux of the preview they showed. So I don't know how that's going to shake out, but...
Alright then.
I'm watching that right now, and it's crazy. It's like the three evil queens teaming up. It's kind of intense, actually.
Kind of intense. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's one of those shows that I'm going to catch up on just someday when I have no shows to watch.
Right.
But I watch so much right now that I just that's not going to be for a while.
Yeah, it's not something I would say set aside what you're watching to watch this. It's not that kind of show, so definitely. Yeah. But if you do get a chance, it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
Side note, the guy that plays Christian Grey, he was in Once Upon a Time.
Oh, really?
Who did he play?
Yeah, he was, I think, the Little Red Riding Hood's hunter, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
He was a huntsman for Little Red Riding Hood. I think. Don't.
So he's gone down in the world.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Apt use of words. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Our next show on the list here is Secrets and Lies on ABC. Now, I believe this is the first television work for Ryan Phillippe, who used to be a pretty big name in the 90s and
Yep.
early 2000s, I guess.
Is that Reese? That's Reese's ex-husband. I
Yes.
was like, why does that look so familiar?
Yeah.
I saw that. It's like, wow, Ryan Phillippe. That's somebody I hadn't seen in ages.
Yeah, he was blowing up pretty big in like the 90s, early 2000s. Of course, his biggest was probably Cruel Intentions with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and
Yes.
but that was a huge hit at the time, and you know his career was kind of taken off, and then he just kind of disappeared for a while. So now he's going to TV, and the project, it seems kind of like this is common territory for movies. This is like the kind of plot line we've seen in a lot of movies. But, you know, TV's starting to get to that point where we're getting a lot of shows that are premises that were used to be for movies, but now they're like, okay, well, TV's got a good budget now, so we can put it on TV, and we can explore more depth as to what's going on with these characters. And
Most of the shows the trailers, they all look like movie trailers. Like, none of them look like TV show trailers. Well, like, half of them, but, like, the majority...
That's a good point.
Yeah, they all look
They're
like
looking
movies.
more and more like film trailers now.
Sure.
And that's,
Yeah.
that was my impression
The
going through all these.
The premises were all, like, movie premises that we've all seen and are familiar with.
yeah,
Well,
that's something we're getting a lot, especially on network now, I think.
Well, I think that's a bonus, because there are plenty of premises that would be better established by the long format of television. So I'm happy to see it move in that direction.
I'm not sure this is one of them, though. I'm wondering, like,
Well-
how long can this guy go being suspected of kidnapping this kid?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how long the premise goes. I don't know, the trailer, it makes me think of Broadchurch, and I even read an article where they had to explain how this is different from Broadchurch, because it does kind of look similar to Broadchurch, and to be fair, Broadchurch has a very common premise. I think it was just really good because it did really interesting things with it.
Right.
So hopefully this show can do that as well.
Hopefully.
Will, you've watched Broadchurch, right?
I have not, to be honest.
Lee, have you?
No.
Okay, so Broadchurch is a UK show. It stars David Tennant from Doctor Who, and it was remade in the States as
Grace
what was
Point.
it called here?
Grace
Point. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Also with
and
David
also
Tennant.
starring the same actor.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
But yeah, it was a pretty popular show in the UK. It recently got announced that it's going to have a third season. We still haven't gotten a second season. As
I know.
far as I know.
I'm excited though. The second season actually starts airing in the US next week, if you have BBC
Yeah.
America. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So moving down from that, because that's it's similar territory. Let's see. On Fox we have The Last Man on Earth. Now this is the kind of premise that you really wonder with a TV show how far they're going to be able to stretch this, or what they're going to have to do to kind of flesh it out. But I kind of love the idea. I just am concerned about where they can go with it.
I think Will Forte is a good comedian. The trailer that they posted looks funny. It's on point. The fact that it's going to be a comedy, I think helps it, because I think you can get away with a lot more in a comedy than if it was like supposed to be like something serious. So if like somebody else shows up or something, which according to the write-up, more people will show up despite the title of the show. You know, they can do that, play with that in a comedy, you know, and you can accept it because this is funny.
Have any of you seen the movie Quiet Earth?
Quiet Earth.
No.
Okay, that's what the trailer made me think of, because it's very similar. Is a guy wakes up and he's the only person left in the world, but even the movie realized at a certain point that you have to introduce other characters. So I'm really hoping they do that, because I think seeing a guy, like, I'm more interested in relationships. Seeing a guy just wander around by himself, I think, could get really boring.
Although I do often daydream about what it would be like to be the last person alive on a planet.
Sure.
Yeah,
what I would
there is that fantasy element. You see him in the clip I put up on there, like bowling with cars, you know.
Yeah.
Well, like, the title has a lot of, like, it leaves a lot of open suggestions. Like, he could be the last man on Earth, but there could be women, there could be dogs, there could be aliens, there could be other things.
Yeah.
Just not men, I guess.
That's what I'm wondering where they're going to go with it.
So, I think like he'll probably meet some other people or things, but it's just not going to be a man.
Yeah, or they could also pursue some of, there have been some other casted characters and stuff. We don't know. I mean, those could be in flashbacks for all we know.
True.
It could be completely different, but
I don't know if you could do a whole show of just like flashbacks to establish like emotional connection.
yeah, because then it's like, why are you
That'd
watching?
be
Because
weird.
in the end,
Exactly.
you got nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm wondering how they're going to handle it. Because there's a lot of ways they can handle it. There's kind of like the real basic way, in which case he just kind of comes across to other people eventually, and he's like, I thought I was the only one, but there's other things they can do, and they could do pretty much anything from that, perspective. I mean, like you said, there could be aliens, or, it could be anything, so.
I feel like if they introduce aliens, that might be a very different change in genre suddenly.
Yeah.
Well, it could be like a sci-fi comedy then.
That's true.
I think it'd be funny if like the first episode was like some kind of Axe commercial where they're like he's like the last man on Earth, and there's like all these women and there's like all these like other things, and like yeah, he's just like being chased.
That would be pretty funny. So on the same night, Battle Creek premieres on CBS. Now, this show kind of just seems like, odd couple, buddy cop kind of type show. The one thing that's more interesting about it is that this, the pilot script was written and conceived of by Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad, before he did Breaking Bad.
I gotta say, when I read that this was from Vince Gilligan, I wasn't what I was expecting from Vince Gilligan show.
Yeah, this is a pre-Breaking Bad pilot,
Yeah.
and he's not really involved in it beyond that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm not really expecting too much from this. I just kind of put it on there because it's interesting that Vince Gilligan is going to have 2 shows on Sunday night.
Right.
When the show premieres. I'll probably check out the pilot just because it's Vince Gilligan. I doubt I'll watch beyond that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, yeah, if you just showed me like the trailer, and then I would said okay, and then I would never guessed Vince Gilligan had any involvement whatsoever.
Yeah. So Lee, what did you think of this one?
I didn't think like that it was that great. I just thought it was, it's a pretty typical movie premise. Again, 2 cops that don't like each other, or 2 cops that are just different.
Yeah, the odd couple.
But I think they're capitalizing on Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel.
They're capitalizing on his sort of like stardom and his fandom.
Yeah, that's been growing since, I think the first thing I saw him on was that like Las Vegas series.
Yep.
And he's been getting kind of more popular recently. He's done a few movies,
Yeah.
and
He was in
He's
Transformers, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he
I'm
was.
kind of ashamed to say I know that.
It's okay, Kat. I watched the Transformers movies too.
Well, did you watch them voluntarily?
Yes.
Okay.
he was strapped to a chair. Yeah.
I was strapped to, yeah.
Had his eyelids held open. He had to
Clockwork
listen to the
Orange
like
style.
racist. He had to listen to the racist robot from the second one.
Yeah, that was when the CIA was interrogating.
Yeah, that would be true torture, having to watch the Transformers movies.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on from the first, that next week on Tuesday on the 3rd, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returns.
Woohoo!
So this is a little bittersweet for me because I was enjoying Agent Carter so much, and that's over now. So, but I'm excited to get back on this. It kind of left on a cliffhanger in the mid-season.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like, when I first started out Agent Carter, I was like, oh, I just kind of want Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to come back. And now I'm like, oh, now I want more Agent Carter. But I am looking forward to it coming back. I wish they would pull back on it being all about Skye, but the mid-season finale was so good that I'm definitely excited to see where they go.
And I think we'll definitely get more Agent Carter because they left a few loose ends and stuff.
I
Yeah.
think there'll be more
Yeah.
Agent Carter. Definitely. I think it's too good of a show to not do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. for sure.
So Lee, you don't watch either of these, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so yeah.
I had no idea what was going on in the trailer. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird.
I was like, "There's this girl and something's happening," but I don't know.
I didn't watch it. I'm avoiding S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers because I plan to just marathon it in the summer and just get through the first 2 seasons.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you're still behind on that.
Yeah.
So that kind of covers that then. So let's that's the only thing premiering on that Tuesday, at least on our list. On Thursday, on March 5th, we have American Crime on ABC. This seems a lot like Traffic to me. Have any of you seen Traffic, the movie?
No.
Nope.
That sounds familiar. What does that sound like?
It won an Oscar.
Yeah, it won the Oscar over Brokeback Mountain, which caused a bunch of, strife with people.
It's Steven Soderbergh, right?
I don't think so. I don't think it was Steven Soderbergh for it. It was somebody else that, maybe it was Steven Soderbergh. I don't know. Maybe I'm not thinking of Traffic. No, I'm thinking of Crash, not Traffic.
Oh, okay, I've seen Crash.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm off then.
Okay, yeah,
Crash was the one that, So this series, American Crime, it kind of has that Crash kind of vibe to it, where it's going to be dealing with race relations in America, following a crime, or in Crash it had to do with a car accident that kind of happened, I guess, after a bunch of other events, but in this it's going to be kicked off by a crime. It's American veteran that's found murdered, and his wife, I don't know if she's killed, but she was like raped or something, and they suspect it was a Mexican that had done it, and so it just kicks off a whole racial issue across, the city and everything that's going on with that.
Yeah.
Well, I really like Felicity Huffman, so I could see it being good just for that alone.
This is, again, another one it just really feels like a traditional movie premise.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Well, and I think what I appreciate is, like, kind of like how I appreciated Agent Carter was upfront about there being sexism. I like that they're willing to tackle racism because it's still such a tough issue to address that lots of people will just avoid it entirely. That in and of itself can become problematic. So I appreciate that about it.
It's an issue that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Lee, are you still on? I think I heard your audio cut out a little. Lee?
Oh no.
I think we lost Lee.
Next up, we have, on the same day, on Thursday, March 5th, we have Dig on USA. This is something that we've had a chance for some coverage of, and just due to scheduling issues, we haven't been able to get it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, this slips through the cracks sometimes. And so this is from the creators of Homeland and Heroes, so it's Tim Kring, who created Heroes, and one of the producers on Homeland that are bringing this together. This is a show that it's about a murder that happens in Jerusalem, and it starts to lead into some big conspiracy that goes back to, biblical ages, and it actually filmed in Jerusalem until just there was a uptick in violence with, it's Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And so they had to move it. They moved it to a few different countries. I think they moved it to, I can't remember. Yeah, they moved it to a few different countries, different kind of desert landscape countries, and eventually they ended up filming in New Mexico, I think, to finish off what they had. But they did film a bit in Jerusalem before they had to leave. Any excitement for this at all?
I like Jason Isaacs. He's a great actor, but I don't know if the premise really interests me that much.
Yeah, not too terribly much excitement for me on this one either. So, Will, did you have any thoughts?
Not terribly exciting from what I've seen. It could be interesting. Jason Isaacs is a good director. Good actor.
Yeah.
I don't know about Tim Kring being attached to it. The job he did on Heroes, it started out great, and then it just really got ridiculous. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to jump in on our Tim Kring production.
I credit a lot of Heroes, like the first season quality to Brian Fuller.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what? I totally forgot he was even involved in that. But yet, that probably was because of him.
Yeah, so I think he had a big part in that, and he actually came back towards, I think, the end of, like, the 4th season or something, which was, like, again, like a high point on the series after it had gone downhill, so that kind of cemented it in my mind that he was largely responsible for the quality on that show. There were some other good writers on the show that were on it for a very short period of time as well, but, I'm kind of mixed on it. I'll check it out. You know, I check out almost everything, at least an episode.
Sure.
On Friday, March 6th, the entire season 1 of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt drops on Netflix. This is Netflix's typical thing, you know, they drop a whole season. I'm really excited about this one. I don't know about you guys, but I was a big 30 Rock fan. And this has a lot of those, you know, a lot of that 30 Rock feeling just watching the trailer.
Yeah, I got that as well.
But yeah, I'm excited about this one. And every time I think about the show, I get the song at the beginning stuck in my head of them singing in the bunker. Apocalypse, apocalypse.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, this looks really funny. I'm a big fan of Tina Fey. I also like Ellie Kemper from her time on The Office, and so definitely looks like one of the shows to look out for this spring.
Yeah, she looks like she's like the perfect lead and the perfect fit for this particular character.
Yeah, definitely.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
She plays this type of character like so well.
Yeah.
And this is probably gonna be totally bingeable too, because 30 Rock was a very binge, you know, heavy series. It was a good show to just watch a ton of episodes in a row, because there were a lot of, like, callbacks and references throughout, like, a season, you know, where they'd be bringing back the same joke over and over again. And I could imagine, you know, being able to kind of catch on to that more by binging, which I did with 30 Rock, because I didn't watch 30 Rock until it already ended when I started watching it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I could totally see it being the same case with this, where there's going to be like some running gags throughout the season, and they're just going to play so much better if you binge watch than if you're watching, you know, one episode a week.
Sure.
So, yeah, so this was originally, I believe, supposed to go to NBC before Netflix picked up the...
Would make sense. Tina Fey has strong ties with NBC.
Yeah, from her time on Saturday Night Live and then 30 Rock.
At the same time, 30 Rock wasn't ever really a ratings juggernaut for them, and they seem to want to be moving away from the 30 Rock, Parks and Rec kind of shows, so I'm not surprised that didn't happen.
Right.
So I think it's still owned by Universal, who also owns NBC, so it's not like they're giving up on the show. They'll be producing it and then, you know, making money on DVD sales or any, you know, who buys DVDs anymore? I don't know.
I mean, they still put them out.
And they're going to be making money on the licensing towards Netflix as well. So,
sure.
Yeah, so that's, I'm really excited about that. So far of everything I've gone over on the list, I think that's, you know, that and probably Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are the ones I'm most excited about.
Right.
But continuing on, Monday, March 9th, The Returned. This is a remake of a French series. Have either of you or any of you watched the original French series, The Returned?
No.
Okay, so it's kind of like a weird take on zombies in a sense, because they're not really like zombies. It's like these people all come back from the dead from these different eras, and there's something kind of just creepy. It's not so much like a great occasion that they're back. There's just kind of like a weird creepy vibe underneath.
I like that.
Like
other
why they're
that
back, what's going on, and
yeah, like that other show that came out like on ABC about.
Yes, this was The Return came first in France and yeah, so the what was the ABC show called?
I cannot remember.
Oh, was it Resurrection or something?
Yes.
Yes, Resurrection. Resurrection felt very much like they were kind of doing a U.S. remake of The Return. So this is the real U.S. remake of The Return.
Resurrection seemed hokey to me, so this doesn't seem as hokey as that seemed. So maybe.
And this is being produced by Carlton Cuse from Lost.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, he's a name we mention a lot. You know, he's producing, I think, everything on TV right now. I think it's official, right? You know?
Yeah.
I did an article, I did a news piece where it was like a joke about how, you know, like he's controlling everything, and I had like a picture of him, and I made his eyes all red and bloody, and
Carlton
made
Cuse
him look all evil.
Carlton Cuse is producing the new DuckTales remake.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did the one of the shows we watched for the Amazon Pilots podcast we did.
Uh-huh.
And he did, he's doing Bates Motel right now, and The Strain, which is the Guillermo del Toro vampire show on FX. So he's got like 6 shows or something.
Holy cow.
he's just the busiest man on TV right now. But yeah, so I liked the French series. That kind of makes me, almost hesitant to watch this one, because it's always, whenever you're watching a remake and it looks very close to the French one, there's shots that are like just straight out of it.
That was Grace Point's problem. At least, especially for the first few episodes, it really was a shot for shot remake of Broadchurch.
Yeah, so that's I'm kind of a little nervous about that, but I'm gonna give it a shot and see. I mean, I only made it like halfway through the first episode of Grace Point before I was just like, I've seen this before,
Yeah.
But I'll give it a shot with The Return. There's a second season for The Return that's aired already in France, I believe. That's not here yet. I think that's on Sundance in the US for now. Well, I'll have to see, the French series was enjoyable. I didn't love it, but it was good. It had a kind of cool, kind of creepy vibe, and that's pretty much it on that one. So, Tuesday, March 10th, historic moment, Powers coming to PSN. This is going to be the first, original series for a video game console.
Yeah.
So, Kat, you write for PlayStation Enthusiast as well. Is anybody covering this on the site?
Not that I've seen. I think we're mostly still just talking about gaming stuff.
We should do some kind of a crossover for this.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, to kind of get it on there. It's build some inner site synergy.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I'll propose something probably tomorrow over on that site, because I think that could make some really interesting discussion about a gaming platform as a place to watch original television. I mean,
well,
that's a whole new era right there.
When Microsoft announced the Xbox One, they also announced that they were going to do their own original
a whole bunch of shows.
Yeah, they were going to do a bunch of shows. Their big thing was like...
And then that all fell through.
Yeah, that all fell through. No, that all fell through. Big thing they're doing, I think they're still doing, though, is that Xbox is going to do a Halo television series on their system.
That's coming to Showtime, I think, instead of to Xbox's
Oh, is that really?
Service.
That moved to Showtime now?
Yeah, they moved it to one of the premium networks. I think it was Showtime.
So is that to make up for the fact that the Halo movie never got off the ground?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Halo web series that's supposed to be pretty popular as well.
Yeah.
The guy who's actually playing Luke Cage in the Marvel Netflix series was in that.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, so Powers I'm excited about. I don't know about you guys. It looks really good to me.
Powers, it definitely has a good premise.
How is it different from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's my concern.
The main character used to be basically like a Superman type or a super, hero.
Okay.
With just, he's like immortal and just was like super powerful and had all these abilities and he had them taken from him. And it's kind of like about, like, they're just like cops. They're not like a secret agency or something. And they just deal with like homicides and other crimes that relate to people with superpowers.
Yeah, they're not necessarily like out to hunt people with superpowers. They're just trying to solve crimes. Like,
sure.
Yeah, they're just cops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they're going to be dealing with all the kind of fallout that we'd see in comic books. You see the big events, and they're kind of going to be dealing with the fallout of that. But I think what's really interesting is that the male protagonist of the series, because it's there's two protagonists. There's a female protagonist and a male protagonist, but the male protagonist used to be a superhero, and so he has this insight into this world of people with abilities, and he has connections to them, and there's people that he knew from that time, and so it's almost, to me, it almost feels like it's going to be like a story about like a cleaned up rock star that's going back and seeing his old rock star friends, and some of them are all drugged out, and some of them are still rocking on stage. And
at the same time, he's frustrated. He no longer has those powers. That he's no longer a superhero because he lost his powers against his own will, and he's kind of feels forced into being just a normal detective, which is not necessarily where he wants to be.
So this is a project that had been kicked around on TV for a while. They'd been trying to do this for quite a bit. I think it was originally going to be on FX. And it was originally had, who was it in the lead they had? It was Jason Patrick, I think, was supposed to be play the lead. And it just got moved around and dropped from the schedule and picked up again, and then finally Sony picked it up. So So let's move on here. On Tuesday, March 17th, this is another one I'm super excited about, mostly because of the pedigree involved in the series, which is iZombie on the CW. So, anybody else excited about this? Anybody else watch Veronica Mars?
Yeah, Veronica Mars was a great show. I didn't realize Rob Thomas is the one who created iZombie, which makes it go up even more in my estimation. Like, Veronica Mars was fantastic.
When you watch the trailer, you can tell very much it's a Rob Thomas show. It has, like, all of his signatures.
It has those hits,
It has those hits. For the trailer, it very much looks like Night of the Living Veronica Mars.
Yeah. Which I'm all over. I'm all about that.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
So yeah, I could just do with more Veronica Mars in my life. So I'm excited about this because it definitely has that vibe.
It definitely does.
And it'll be a refreshing take from Walking Dead and other properties treat the zombie stuff with such deadly seriousness that I think going the humorous route will be kind of a breath of fresh air.
I think we need a snarky zombie.
I think we need a snarky zombie. And, you'll be surprised, this is also based on a DC Comics property.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
On the CW, no less.
On the CW.
But it's going to make 4 shows for them. I think they need to scale back.
They just announced they're doing some sort of superhero team-up show set in the Arrow universe. Yeah.
I saw that, and my response is, I really think we need to settle down with all the shows. I mean, holy cow, calm down. I think we should have just stuck with Arrow and Flash.
Yeah, now we're gonna have, like, the Atom teaming up with Firestorm and...
With Firestorm and Black Canary
Canary somehow.
And this is on top of a Supergirl show. Like, really, we really need to just calm down here.
Yeah, I know. There was another story that came out yesterday of another comic book that's being turned into a series, that I saw. It's, Sex Criminals, is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's basically about a female librarian and a male actor who find out that they can freeze time when they orgasm.
Oh, holy cow.
That old premise again.
Yeah, that old premise again. That's been done to death.
Yeah. That typical trope, yeah. The orgasmic time freeze. We've all been there. So, also on that same day is when I know that Kat is really excited about, as am I, and that's going to be the return of Community.
Woo!
That's coming back. That's coming to Yahoo now, so I'm just hoping that Yahoo gets Chromecast on their app in time, because otherwise I'm going to have to sit in front of my computer to watch it, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's depressing, like, Community is losing its cast members to other great stuff, because John Oliver has his own show, so can't be on it. Jonathan Banks is on Better Call Saul. Donald Glover is gone. Yvette Nicole Brown is gone.
I think some of them are still going to be on it, though. I think, I'm not sure about John Oliver, but I'm pretty sure that, I can't think of his name. The guy who's on Better Call Saul.
Jonathan
I'm pretty
Banks.
sure yes, Jonathan Banks. I'm pretty sure he's still going to be in Community as well.
I hope so, because I really liked his character.
Yeah, so, who knows what they're going to do with this. It's less is leaked out about this, because it's Yahoo, so it's less connected to the whole kind of the scene of the industry where all the leaks come out of it, but who knows? I mean, there could be cameos or appearances by our characters. They managed it with Arrested Development on Netflix, where they filmed all the actors almost separately and then put them back together. They had like one day where they filmed them all together.
Oh, wow.
For the Netflix version of it, and everything else it was just like cut together.
I wonder how Yahoo's gonna do. Are they gonna dump the whole season like Netflix and Amazon? Or no, Amazon doesn't do that.
I think they're doing weekly episodes.
They're doing weekly episodes.
I think that's what I've heard. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad for that. I like the weekly episode idea better.
Yeah, it's for some stuff it works better. I mean, I think, I don't know. I mean, I think for Community it might work better because Community. Every episode is kind of an investment with Community.
Yeah.
There's so much going on, and
Community
it's kind of almost draining.
Doesn't ask for binge watching.
So, anybody else excited about this? Is it just Kat and I that are up to date on that?
I need to go back and actually watch the show.
So I was just looking it up because Lee said that it wasn't on Netflix. So I was like, it isn't? I thought it was, and I looked it up. It is on Hulu though.
Yeah.
So. Not on Netflix, but on Hulu. At least in the States, you know. I don't know if it's going to be different.
The other interesting thing is this is a new experiment for Yahoo. This is their first foray into original programming.
Yeah.
So,
the original scripted,
yeah. Scripted.
They do have the Katie Couric stuff and some other stuff they've been getting, but none of that's been scripted. Script is the real game.
Yeah, that's the real game. We'll have to see how they handle it and, you know, how that goes for them. Because,
yeah.
It looks like they're trying to be a major player in internet television now.
So moving on from that, Community's obviously something I'm excited about and Kat's excited about, and even Will sounds like he's gonna try to catch up and be excited for it. Friday, March 20th, another Netflix original series. This one's called Bloodline, and it stars Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights. So I know, Kat, I know you're a big fan of Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, one of my favorite shows ever.
What did you think, and what does everybody think of this trailer?
It could be interesting. I like the premise. I think I just worry that it's a show I don't have time for, even though Kyle Chandler is a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the great thing about being a Netflix series is it's just going to be there.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Like there's no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah,
it's all
you know,
going to be dumped on there day one. So.
Sure.
Yeah. You could watch it day 1 or you could watch it day 451, you know?
Yeah.
So it might be a good summer show or something,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I don't know when I'm gonna get around to watching it. It's one I'm not as excited about as I am about some of the other shows on here, but it looks good.
It looks good. It looks it's got, like Kat said, it has an interesting premise. Kyle Chandler is a fantastic actor, so it's got the production values. So definitely gonna give it a watch. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super hyped for it or anything.
So getting into April now, April 4th, on Saturday, Outlander comes back to stars. Did any of you watch Outlander, the first half of the first season?
No, was not interested. I heard something about time travel, Scottish romance. And I tuned
It
out.
sounds like it could be a trashy romance novel.
Yeah.
The show is done by Ron D. Moore, who did Battlestar Galactica.
That's true.
I actually quite enjoy it. It really does have those trappings of like a trash romantic kind of thing, except it's actually good. It's one of those kind of weird things where it's like, you're not sure if you're watching a good show or if you're watching trash romantic show. And you're kind of questioning that the whole time, because everything's done really well, you know, but and the writing's good, and the actors are good, and there's, you know, some good some of the events, the plot twists are really good, but at the same time, it really has those trappings of a trashy romantic novel. But it's good. I quite enjoy it, actually, and
it's adapted from a trashy romance novel series, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's adapted by Ron D. Moore.
Yeah.
Well, yay for Ron D. Moore.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next day, Sunday, April 5th, we got some slow period piece shows.
Oh boy.
Coming.
Let me
gear
up my excitement.
Try to contain yourself.
Yes.
First off, we have Wolf Hall coming to PBS as part of their masterpiece, probably, theater. That's seems to be every time they pick up a British series, they add masterpiece to the title.
Yeah. Everything from Britain is a masterpiece.
Yes. But this one is about King Henry VIII. who's probably the most famous king of all time, I'd guess, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would say so. I think there's more media about him than any other English king that I can think of.
Yeah, probably.
So I think this show is about how the king returns from Iraq, and we're not sure if he's a splinter agent. Oh, wait, no. It's just the same actor.
Now that would be an interesting take on King Henry VIII's life.
That really was.
King Henry VIII Homeland, yeah. So is anybody interested in this show?
No.
Nah.
Okay, so let's move on. Mad Men. To me, Mad Men is one of those shows you have to be in the right mood to watch. You have to have that special kind of energy where you have enough energy where you're not going to fall asleep, but you don't have too much energy to where you're going to be going nuts because it's going so slow, you know? You have to have that right amount where you're just kind of relaxed and letting it kind of sink in, and if you're not in that mood, then it's not going to happen. So does anybody else watch Mad Men?
I tried it once, but couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I can't get into it.
You said you do, Will?
No.
Okay, so I'm the only one that's current on Mad Men, I guess. So I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna finish it. I think Mad Men, like I said, you have to be in the right mood to watch it, and it's had some bad parts. It's run a little too long, I think. That same night, also, Salem Season 2 coming to WGN, which is another one of the channels that's just recently been getting into the content game. Have any of you watched Salem?
No.
What I've heard of it is that it's completely insane. I'm kind of intrigued to check it out, but I haven't yet.
So yeah, Salem, it's got a lot of people in it from like 12 Monkeys does. It has a lot of people from Nikita in it, which is the main reason I checked it out, because I like Nikita. But yeah, it's okay. It's kind of a Salem witch trials kind of thing, and it starts off more about like kind of the hypocrisy of the town and the people and what they're doing, and then it actually becomes like, but wait, the witches are real, you know?
Okay, that's
and they're actually
really weird.
And they're actually the ones manipulating the witch trials and causing people to be executed, because it's not really witches being executed, it's these normal people in the town.
Right.
And they're doing it all towards this they're trying to kind of like do this huge ritual where they need this massive number of sacrifices, and they're doing it through that to initiate this. And so that was like the first season, and now it's going more into like a war between these different covens of witches. And
are the witches good or evil?
They're mostly evil, I guess, but they're not like evil in that like really generic, like of course they're evil kind of way, like
sure.
Yeah, they're not super generic evil. They're more like, they're evil, but at the same time there's like kind of reasoning behind what they're doing. There's some like real anger behind the issues of why they're like this, and they have motivations, and they have parts of them that aren't completely evil. So it's an okay show. It was the first I think original show for WGN, who now has Manhattan, which was a better show.
Right.
Yeah, it's a decent show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I might check it out when I get some time. Maybe.
Moving on then, Thursday, April 9th. This is going to be a big night for FX. Louie's coming back, but before Louie comes back, there's going to be a new show with Billy Crystal, called The Comedians, and this is going to be kind of a meta series. It's a series about making a series for FX.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, it's a meta comedy show. I don't know. I don't know if I care for that.
It kind of makes me think of, what was the HBO show with, the Gary Shandling show?
Oh, yeah, the Gary.
Yeah, where it was about, this talk show, and it was about kind of the behind the scenes of the talk show. But this is about like a sitcom that's being developed, and it's got, I don't know if Billy Crystal's playing himself or he's playing another actor who's doing it.
Isn't the show basically like that episode of Seinfeld where Seinfeld was trying to get like a comedy about nothing sold to NBC?
Oh, when he and George were pitching Seinfeld?
Yeah.
It's, I guess, kind of like that, except it seems like it's more about the actual production of the show.
That sounds
So
too meta for me.
No such thing for me.
Okay,
I go all
I've
the way down the
questioned it with
rabbit hole.
Supernatural keeps pushing the boundaries, and I think they still managed to toe the line pretty well, but I think there's a point at which you can go over the line.
One of my favorite episodes of Supernatural is when they come into like the real world and they...
The French Mistake, yeah.
Yes.
That was a surprisingly good episode, because when I heard the episode description, I thought that sounds terrible. And then it ended up being really funny.
And they had all those in-jokes.
Misha Collins constantly tweeting.
Oh yeah, constant, all those in-jokes about like the actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love meta, so I'm excited about that. But it's going to be interesting to see where it goes because, Billy Crystal's been kind of a non-entity for so long now. He used to be such a huge deal. He used to host the Oscars almost every year, and he had a string of hit movies. And even when he wasn't in, starring in a hit movie, he'd make appearances and stuff like The Princess Bride, and, he'd always be showing up everywhere. But, yeah, I'm interested in that, but what I'm more interested in is what's going to be following that night, which is Louis, and I'm a huge fan of Louis. Do any of you guys like Louis, or Louis C.K. in general?
No.
I'm only familiar with him because he was on Parks and Rec for a short time.
Yeah.
I know he has this new show, but it doesn't, I don't know, I don't think I find it very accessible.
It isn't. It definitely isn't. It's very avant-garde, as I guess
Sure.
the way he'd have to explain it.
I watched an episode of it, and I didn't get it, and so that was it.
It's just it'll just have these experiences, and sometimes an experience will last 4 episodes, and sometimes it'll last 5 minutes.
Huh.
And it's just kind of very loose, the way it's structured like that, and I actually quite enjoy it. What I think is cool about it is it's a comedy series, but it can toe the line between like comedy and tragedy, because there are episodes that are just downright depressing.
Right.
Of that show, and that's kind of the comedy of it, is that it's a comedy that's so depressing.
Sure.
So you're kind of laughing about the fact that you're watching something so depressing that's a comedy.
Right.
So it's like this really interesting kind of thing, and I'd recommend the show to people to give it a shot. It's one of those ones it does ask a lot of the audience. I mean, you're gonna see like the same character played by different actors with no explanation, and you're gonna see like all sorts of different kind of things like that, where it's just, you kind of have to just accept it and go with it. It's almost dreamlike. Like, it's like you're seeing kind of like a dream representation of events from his life, like kind of played out on screen. Because it can get surreal at times, and then sometimes it'll be just very straightforward and normal. It's a strange show. It's good though. I'm really excited about it coming back. Next up, Friday, April 10th. This is one we've talked a lot about on here. Daredevil coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
So, Kat, last time we talked about this, you had not seen the trailer yet. Will and I had seen it. Did you watch the trailer now?
No, and I feel terrible that I haven't, but I can't imagine I won't be trying this, just if for no other reason than the fact that Agent Carter has completely not only revitalized my faith in the MCU, but also demonstrated how good Marvel is creating short-run TV series.
Yeah, I think watching this trailer again in preparation for the podcast, it struck me like just how dark the trailer is,
Sure.
Compared to the other Marvel fare that's around, that's kind of more light, and fun. And this just has a whole different feel to it. And we had talked about that, about how it was, that's what it needed. And we needed something like that, and that's why, it's good that this is going to be a Netflix series versus another thing on ABC or something.
Yeah. There's nothing, there's no other superhero show on television that's like this, because nothing is this dark, at least, superhero-wise. So this is,
Sure.
for people expecting, the typical light superhero fare that they're used to, this is not going to be that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to surprise and shock a lot of people who probably aren't expecting it.
Yeah, and it's the first of 5 series, which, they're going to be interconnected, and, this is the first one we have to go by, and it looks really good. I can only hope that the others kind of keep it up. I think they're going to have different vibes for the different shows. I can't imagine Jessica Jones being this dark.
Sure.
And there's going to be dark events going on in Jessica Jones, but I think overall it's going to have a whole different tone.
I think it's going to have a whole different tone, but yeah, Jessica Jones is definitely also going to be gritty. Her story, her situation, it isn't as light as something as Agent Carter. We're not going to get an Agent Carter vibe with Jessica Jones, even though it's kind of similar. It's definitely...
I could see it as a show that takes place more during the day than...
Yeah,
yeah. I could see we're watching Daredevil and everything takes place at night, and then we'll watch Jessica Jones and everything takes place during the day or something. Just literally lighter.
Just literally lighter. Yes. This gives me hope that eventually maybe they could do a Netflix, they could do The Punisher on Netflix, which...
I could totally see that fitting in with what they're doing with the other ones too, because it's more ground level vigilante type, stories.
Yeah, ground level vigilante. I mean, yeah, and if you're going to do The Punisher, if you're going to do them right, you gotta really go hardcore with it. And, that's definitely gotta be a hard R, which I think you can only get away with that on Netflix.
Yeah.
Next up, on the same day, The Messengers coming to CW. Now, CW recently has become kind of the go-to place for genre TV.
Yeah, seriously.
At least on network.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that...
I don't know what you guys watch besides, The Flash and Arrow and, Supernatural or something, but, I've really enjoyed The 100, which started last year, and...
I want to try The 100,
I've liked some other shows that have ended.
I want to wait until all of second season is on Netflix, so there's more for me to watch. But I definitely want to try it because it looks and sounds really interesting.
It is, it starts off kind of like a bad, trying to do kind of a Hunger Games or Battle Royale kind of thing, but not kind of as good.
That's the thing.
But then it gets much better as it goes on into the season.
That's the thing, yeah. I remember when, the 100 was first announced by CW. CW was looking for a Hunger Games type show to capitalize on the success of that movie. That's the whole reason for its existence, pretty much, is CW want their own Hunger Games.
They'd actually explored doing a TV series of Battle Royale, which came before the Hunger Games. It was very similar concepts. But they didn't end up doing that, but they had made it known at the time that they were shopping around, they were looking for something of that type.
Yep.
And that's what the 100 came from, so.
So I wasn't expecting much from that. I was like, okay, that's just whatever. They're trying to capitalize on the hot thing at the moment, and it's the CW, which back when that story was circulating, I didn't have a high opinion of the shows on CW, or network itself, so I totally wrote it off. And I still haven't watched it, but apparently, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well, and it's gotten good reviews from everything I've read.
But anyways, the new series that's coming here is The Messenger.
This looks interesting, I got to admit. I really like the premise. They could do it looks like a very interesting premise. Where they'll go with it, who knows?
Yeah, so that's coming to the CW, also on Friday, April 10th. Then here's a big one right now. Got a few coming on Sunday, April 12th. The huge one on the list, the biggest show on the list, I'd say, is Game of Thrones coming back to HBO April 12th. Now, in addition to this coming back on April 12th to HBO, this is also going to be around the time that HBO launches their streaming-only service, where you don't have to have a. And they said they're going to have it out in time for Game of Thrones. So.
Yes.
Well, considering how often it was being pirated, I think their hand was kind of forced there.
So I'm wondering, so what favorite characters of mine are going to die this season?
Well, it might be characters that haven't died in the book, because that's kind of the news story that came out, that I guess George R.R. Martin announced that some book fans might not be happy that some characters that are alive in the books are not going to be on the show.
Oh, interesting.
Come the end of this season. So that could be spoilers, or it could be characters that are kind of smaller, more minor that end up dying off, or that, they end up they might take the same storyline that a character's supposed to have and give it to a different character.
I think
that kind of just happens in adaptations in general.
The entire Song of Ice and Fire series just entered a whole new realm of like now it's developing further in the television series than the book series. That's kind of fascinating.
That's entirely because the series is running out of book material, and George R. R. Martin just can't produce more book material fast enough.
But the author or the writers on the show do know the ultimate fates of the major characters on the show.
Yep.
They know where the show is going already. That's already been told to them. So it's not like they're going to be flying on their own with no idea.
No, they already know the major beats they have to follow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, because I want to see how fans react to this, because there's already a lot of concern from some fans about
I cannot
what's going
wait
on with this.
for all the salty tears from the book readers when the show starts spoilering the books.
Yeah. We talked about it before, that this could happen, and it looks like it is. I mean, if it doesn't happen, then there's still going to be characters that are alive in the books that are dying in the show, so that's going to ruffle some feathers.
So
either way,
here's what I want to know then: is if the TV series finishes out the story before the book series, which is not at all implausible at this point, will that be to the detriment of the book series?
Oh, who knows? Yeah, it depends on, maybe I could see G.R.R. Martin going like, you know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm going to make it end a different way.
Yeah, right. I guess that's a matter of opinion. A lot of people claim that the show adaptation of what has been written is still inferior to the books. So I'm sure it'll continue to be people will, when the new book comes out, people will read it and proclaim it to be entirely superior to whatever happens in this or the next season of Game of Thrones on TV. And, so I don't think it's gonna have...
When they read the novelization of Game of Thrones season 6.
I don't think it's gonna have that adverse impact on the books as people think, but it's definitely going to be an interesting reversal.
Yeah.
So following Game of Thrones on HBO is Silicon Valley. I don't think... I don't know about Lee, but I don't think either of you have
not watched it yet. Even though I'm
Silicon Valley is hilarious.
I'm a big fan of Mike Judge. I mean, I've watched King of the Hill. I've watched Beavis and Butthead. I love Office Space. That's one of my favorite movies ever.
It's more in line with that.
Idiocracy
It's more in line with an Office Space.
Too.
Oh yeah, the opening scene of Idiocracy is one of the most brilliant little moments ever. It's hilarious.
So I'm a big fan of Mike Judge, so I've been meaning to check this out. I just haven't yet, for whatever reason.
So Silicon Valley kind of has a sad story attached to it, which is that one of the actors on the show passed away after only doing 4 episodes,
really?
I think, or 3
sucks.
episodes. They had to kind of just write him out of the story. They kind of not write him out completely, but make it so oh, he's somewhere else now, he's not on screen. And he was the breakout of those episodes. Everybody was talking about how amazing this guy was, after they were watching it, and he'd already been dead when these episodes were airing. And so people were looking it up and going, who is this actor? He's doing great. And finding out, oh, he died, into this thing. And I read about this actor and his life, and it's really tragic. I think he had cancer 4 times.
Oh my God, that's awful.
And yeah, he was 30.
30? Oh, jeez.
and he had,
that's just tragic.
He had just constant medical problems.
Wow.
And, but it surprised me because, I was oh God, once we hit that point where it was going to go to the episodes where he wasn't in, I'm is it going to be as good without him? Because his character was like the best character on the show. He was a small character, but he was hilarious. He was amazing. It was like a total breakout performance. It was like the kind of thing that was going to make him.
It reminds me of Andy Whitfield in Spartacus. Because
yeah, very much so. Except he wasn't the lead character on Silicon Valley. This guy, but he was like a background character, but he was like the standout background character. He was like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but they're all like really bad.
I felt that in Andy Whitfield's case, I felt that Spartacus was a really breakout role for him. I thought that could have led to a lot of great roles for him. And so, yeah, that's tragic too. So that's a similar situation.
It's always sad when these kind of things happen, but the show really was able to pull itself together and they didn't replace him. They kind of left it so that his character is kind of just off doing other things in the background. And you just don't see him.
That's a nice way to honor him and his contribution to the show. Instead of just forgetting about him.
And the series had one of the best season finales I've ever seen for a comedy series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was probably the best episode of the series so far, and it was amazing. Usually comedy season finales aren't that great, they're like okay.
Right, yeah.
But this was a great season finale. It was hilarious.
Definitely gonna check this out, because this is definitely on my to-watch list. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, it's definitely good, and it's probably a good follow-up for Game of Thrones, too, because it follows directly after Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, my favorite character died. I need a laugh. Oh, here's Silicon Valley.
HBO knows what they're doing, because you're going to need a laugh after Game of Thrones. Yeah.
I think eventually they're just going to end up having therapy sessions.
Yeah, exactly. The Game of Thrones therapy session.
Yeah, it'll be like The Talking Dead, except instead of like chuckles and jokes, it'll just be straight up, everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
So,
Tyrion is
continuing
in a better
on.
place now.
Oh God, don't even joke. Saturday, April 18th, Orphan Black is coming to BBC. This is, I believe, the third season. Yes, the third season of it. Have any of you watched Orphan Black?
Not yet, but it's on my list.
I just recently found out doing this that it's actually a Canadian series. It's produced by BBC America, but I think it might air on a different network in Canada, because it said it's a Canadian production. Like, not just filmed in Canada, but actually, like, the production company itself is in Canada.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why it's on BBC.
So, I didn't know that.
It's Canadian.
I think they probably just paid for part of the development cost or something.
Probably.
But yeah, it's a pretty good show. The standout, of course, is the lead actress. She plays like 12 iterations of herself.
Like
all very different.
I mean,
yeah, she seems amazing.
That's the main thing I've heard about the show is like the main actress is got so many accolades for her roles on the show.
Yeah.
And so that's the main thing I've been hearing about this show.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it goes into the kind of idea of not just cloning, but genetic manipulation, and just it's really like an interesting kind of near future kind of this could be happening now, but we just don't know about it kind of thing.
Sure.
Right.
So I'm excited about the return of that. It's not one of my favorite shows, but it's definitely one I'm going to be watching. And that brings us to the last show on our list. I think I put this on this list mostly for chuckles.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Thursday, May 14th is the debut of Wayward Pines on Fox. Now, the main kind of calling point on the show is it is really trying hard. They've been advertising it, basically. The pitch for this show, and every time they bring it up, they're using two words to describe this show. Twin and Peaks. They're trying very hard to get like that Twin Peaks fandom on it.
At all from that trailer that was posted.
Oh, I didn't either, but that's what's been going around. That's like what they've been describing.
Well, because
the manipulation.
The Twin Peaks comparison comes in because it's an FBI agent traveling into this strange town to solve a crime or disappearance, something. But other than that,
Concept-wise, I think concept-wise it's probably closer to like Man from U.N.C.L.E.
yeah.
Which was about a secret agent kind of trapped in like a weird town that he couldn't get out of or something. But
I don't know. Twin Peaks by way of M. Night Shyamalan does not sound appealing
Yeah.
at all.
No, why
So that's the
would
thing,
that
I mean-
give you reason to be nervous?
Yeah.
see, that's the thing is M. Night Shyamalan started his career with a bang. You know, Sixth Sense came out, everyone's like, this guy is brilliant.
Yeah.
This is going to be the future of cinema. Then Unbreakable came out, kind of the mixed reactions. I think some people really liked it, some people didn't. I liked it.
I loved Unbreakable. I thought that was really good.
I
really liked it. I liked that it was like this.
I think Unbreakable did more to convince me M. Night Shyamalan was a genius than The Sixth Sense did. I thought that was the stronger film.
Mm-hmm. When that comic book twist hit, you know, I was like, oh, that's crazy. I absolutely loved it.
I loved it. And then M. Night Shyamalan made more movies.
Well, The Village came out, and Kat, you said you liked The Village more than Unbreakable. The Village was where it started getting more divisive.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, fans started kind of going like, okay, I don't like this. I thought it was okay. I had kind of mixed feelings. I think the kind of idea was interesting when it was revealed at the end. It just didn't kind of have that shocking kind of feeling that, you know, like they were trying to play it off to have.
What I like about The Village is I think it's the most I've ever enjoyed any of his characters. I really liked the two central characters in that movie.
Yeah, I think that the kind of the fear of kind of leaving to the woods was kind of stretching more than any of its other concepts had. But yeah, I actually liked The Village as well.
I did too.
And then it really started evolving from there. You know,
yeah, Lady in the Water was
Signs was kind of hit or miss, not really great anyway, and Lady in the Water was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
And then from there it just got worse.
His movies just kept getting worse. Yeah, like I said, there's a decline. There's like Unbreakable, that's brilliant. Village, it's like, okay, that's flawed, but it's still pretty good. Signs, it's okay. Each movie kept getting progressively worse and worse. It's like
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he does on TV. I mean, who knows? This could end up being the best show of the year. I mean, I doubt it, but...
You know, maybe giving him a longer format will help him, you know, maybe recapture some of that magic he had from early in his career. I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
I mean, maybe...
Yeah.
Maybe just the change of pace will allow him to kind of... Maybe he'll make one really good season, and the second season will be really good, and the third season will be kind of hit or miss. He'll just retrace his whole career.
And then, like, the fifth season will be Avatar quality.
Yeah. Oh, God. Dev Patel joining the cast of Wayward Pines.
Yeah.
So that pretty much brings up all of our content to a close. I said that we could cover kind of more content if we had time, but we don't have time, so...
Nope.
I'm gonna call it here. I'm just gonna give our outro, so thank you for listening to the Television Enthusiast Podcast, The Weekly Set. My name is Tyson. You can reach me at themightyme@gmail.com, or you can contact us on our comments, in our forums, or directly for the show by contacting The Weekly Set at TVEnthusiast.com. Will, do you have anything to plug? Anything to bring up?
Not necessarily. No, nothing to plug at the moment.
Hey, Kat, you also work for PlayStation Enthusiast.
Yep.
Do you have any...
But nothing to plug at the moment.
No big stories? No, exposés to bring?
Maybe one day.
I'll say read all my great stories on TVEnthusiast.com, please. Comment.
Yeah.
Yes. Read our post and comment. We really don't have any comments, so.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@tventhusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more coverage of all of your favorite shows. 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 Of all of